All right, 25 now till the top of the hour. Toll free, our telephone number is 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. Where's the NAACP? Now we have the example, the ventriloquist dummy comment made by this reverend in North Carolina, who's the head of Reverend Barber, who's the head of the NAACP. And you got this other guy attacking Clarence Thomas for having an interracial marriage and calling him an Uncle Tom. And we've been trying now for 2 weeks to get the NAACP. Both are associated with the NAACP and the leadership. We've called the interim president. We've called board members. We've called Reverend Sharpton. We've called Jesse Jackson. We haven't gotten anybody to respond to us. So where is the NAACP going to sit back and allow their prominent members, leaders like the one in North Carolina, to make these statements and it go unchallenged? Anyway, here to help sort through all of this, the Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson. He's with the group Bond, the Bond Network, and the Reverend Charles Christian Adams, presiding pastor at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church. Is that in Connecticut?
That is in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, okay. I was in Hartford, Connecticut this weekend.
Wonderful town.
Now, when Tim Scott is called the ventriloquist dummy and that the Tea Party seeks minorities to use as mouthpieces, when Clarence Thomas is criticized for an interracial marriage and then is called an Uncle Tom, why doesn't the and these are members of the NAACP saying it, don't you think they should speak out and speak in defense of Senator Scott and Clarence Thomas?
This is Charles Adams chiming in, and I would say that they don't have to dignify the criticism of Reverend Barber any more than Tim Scott had to defend himself against
Wait a minute. But Reverend, this is the president of the NAACP in North Carolina.
Right. And he has an obligation to speak his conscience.
What about the organization in toto? If, for example, let's say somebody's part of the Republican Party and they say something that is viciously and vile and racist, don't you think the head of the Republican Party has a right to speak out against that person, considering it goes against if it goes against the principles of what the party stands for?
Well, that has not happened.
I didn't ask, Reverend. You're not following me here.
Okay.
These men have been called horrific, vile, hateful things by a leader of this organization, and I want this organization to speak out against this. Why don't you?
Because it is not their task to speak out for every. That has always been the line.
It's always
one black person represents the entirety of the organization.
No, he's
or the race, or the community.
You're taking this to a place. No, you're taking it somewhere. I didn't bring it. I'm saying
that's
wait a minute.
The essence of what
I'm saying he is the head of the NAACP. This other guy in Alabama is a member of the NAACP. The NAACP, the name is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. But when conservatives are viciously attacked, by the way, black Americans that are advancing to the highest echelons of power in the country, I think as the head of that organization, I would say this goes against our very name, our very credo, our very essence.
But first of all, we should clarify.
Their silence is deafening.
Vicious, I don't think we could define what happened as saying that it was vicious. It was provocative. It was sensational. But It was not vicious.
You don't think it's vicious to say somebody's a ventriloquist dummy? The ventriloquist can always find a good dummy. The extreme right wing here finds a black guy to be senator, claims he's the first black senator since Reconstruction, goes to D.C. and articulates the agenda of the Tea Party. Who cares what his agenda is? He's a black American that is a United States senator, which is a privilege of only 100 people at any one given time.
But instead of focusing upon the exact words that were used, we should be focusing on why he is estranged.
You know what I think?
I think the African American community.
I think you're.
That is commenting.
I think you're afraid to criticize the NAACP for not speaking out against its president.
Not at all.
Do you think what? Here's a question. Do you think what Reverend Barber said? You're a priest. You're a pastor, right?
Yes, I am.
Do you think it's morally repugnant to use those words against a senator like that because you disagree with him politically? I do.
Look,
I find it morally repugnant. I find racism morally repugnant.
Yes, but I also find it morally repugnant that Tim Scott would focus on kids that have their pants hanging down instead of the high employment rates in the African American community.
He does focus. Wait a minute. In fairness, he does do that. He is focused. I know Tim Scott. I've interviewed Tim Scott a bunch. I saw him after this was said about him. Do you think Clarence Thomas he should be criticized for his marriage? It's nobody's damn business. Do you think he should be called an Uncle Tom?
Well, all I would say is...
Yes or no? Is that wrong? Is that wrong, Pastor? Man of the cloth. Is that wrong?
Well, I don't believe that it should be personal. What we're talking about is not
So the only
personal.
part that bothers you is the personal part of it, but you don't seem too worked up about it.
But I'm not going to dignify those kind of comments, just like Tim Scott didn't dignify it.
I talked to Tim Scott about it. Did you? He was not happy about it.
Well,
and by the way,
you see, because the media, if you talk to him,
because
offline.
this is he was on my TV show.
Well, I know he was, but he didn't comment on Barbara.
Excuse me. Let me just tell you one thing. This is now institutionalized. If you are black, if you're Hispanic, if you are conservative, you are called hateful names on a regular basis. If you don't believe me, ask Deneen Borelli. Ask our fellow guest here. Ask Reverend Peterson. You're a conservative, Reverend, right?
I am. Sean, first, congratulations for getting the American people back to work. I have decided that Sean Hannity for president. Will you announce today that you're running for president?
No, I will not announce today. If the country needs me, we're screwed big time.
Man, no, we do need you. And again, thank you so much, Sean, for getting folks back to work. At Bond, my nonprofit, we have 5 things that black Americans can do to succeed despite Barack Obama. And one of those things is working hard and starting businesses. Folks can go to bondinfo.org, bondinfo.org to find out or get more information on that. We started a private school as well. I do want to say this attack on Senator Tim Scott and Clarence Thomas, and I know both of the guys, Clarence Thomas is a good friend, is in another attempt by the Democratic Party by way of the NAACP is to keep blacks on the plantation of the Democratic Party. And these types of attacks have been going on for the last 50 years or so against black Republican conservatives, because if black Americans, and I believe it's going to happen one day, if majority of black Americans would wake up, take control of their own lives, start businesses, work jobs, invest in their communities, the NAACP and others would go out of business. And so they attack successful black people such as Senator Scott and others because those folks are a good example. They are good examples for the black community. They say to the black community that America is the greatest country in the world. If you work hard, treat people the way you would like to be treated, love what's right, you can succeed in this country. And the NAACP and others do not want black Americans to realize that. You mentioned the attack on black conservatives. It's out of control, Sean. For the last 25 years or so, I've been a Republican conservative. I've been called every name in the book. I've had guns drawn on me. My telephone's been tapped. Not a day goes by when I don't get some sort of threat or so. And they are keeping black Americans angry by causing them to believe that the Republican Party is against them when they are really not. And Tim Scott and Clarence Thomas represent freedom. They represent opportunity. They show Americans, never mind the color, you can work hard. They are examples of character. The NAACP is a political pawn for the liberal elite Democratic Party. They don't give a hoot about black Americans overall.
I have a question. If they're not going to defend Clarence Thomas, Pastor, or Reverend, if they're not going to defend Senator Tim Scott, and these are members of the NAACP and one NAACP leader, then I guess the NAACP has lost all focus of what their mission is, and it maybe should change their name to the NAA, LCP, DCP, Progressive CP, because if you're not a liberal, if you're not a progressive, if you're not a Democrat, they're not going to come to support you.
Not at all. What we have lost focus upon is the right for people to dissent. And
that's right.
Barbara has the right
Black
to say-
conservatives, if they dissent, they're called all these names. You're making my point.
Yeah.
No, but if they do dissent, then the opposition has the right to respond.
Well, wait a
That
minute.
is what made this country great.
All right, so somebody uses.
Nobody's
Wait a minute.
denying
Are
his
you
right to
saying?
exist
Wait a minute.
or
Are
his
you
right to
saying
speak.
if we were debating on this program, somebody that called a prominent Black American the N-word, are you saying the NAACP wouldn't speak out against that person in that organization?
No, they won't.
No, I bet they would. I think
if that was in that, yes, in
Absolutely,
that
they
organization.
would. And
they would.
your
So then why
point
don't
is
they
that
why don't they speak out and defend conservatives that are being called Uncle Tom and being criticized for their attacking their wives, being called ventriloquist dummies? Why don't they speak out here if they would do it there? Because in both cases, it's both morally repugnant.
Yeah.
But we're talking about policy.
No,
Sean, he's not going to answer the question. I'd like to know from the Reverend, since he represents God, and I have to take him at his word, is it wrong?
Well, we'll have to take you at your word that you were had guns pulled out on you and that people are threatening your life every day.
Well, I'm
So
taking
we'll
you
take
at your word.
Your word too.
I'm taking
Well,
you at
go
your
ahead.
word that you're a reverend. My question is, being a reverend, is it wrong? Was it wrong for the NAACP to attack Senator Scott and for Clarence Thomas to be attacked in the manner that he was attacked? Was that wrong?
I believe they have the right.
No, I asked you, was it wrong or was it wrong?
With
Was it
Tim
wrong?
Scott and Clarence Thomas. I said, I wouldn't make it personal, but people say a whole lot of things that I wouldn't say.
One of the problems that we have in the black community, and there are many good black churches out there, but too many black reverends are not standing up and telling the truth about right and wrong. And the reason that they're not doing it is because they have the same mindset that the NAACP has, is that they believe that the Republican Party is a racist party that want to keep black Americans down. So when black folks do wake up and lead that plantation, such as Senator Tim Scott and others, they don't want that to happen. So reverends like the one you have on the show, Sean, he would never stand up in his church or at an NAACP meeting, challenge them and tell them that they're wrong, because they all have the same mindset. And as a result of it, the congregation are suffering because they believe the authority figures in the community. They believe these folks, and they're taking them at their words, and in return, they are being controlled. And that's why this reverend will not denounce the NAACP and others for these personal attacks.
Well, you're wrong. And as a matter of fact, there are Republicans that we do agree with, that I agree with.
Well, Sean asked you over and over again.
Sir, you're speaking over me.
Go ahead.
I will not generalize, because there are Republicans that I personally agree
How about
with,
the specific? Why don't you go at the specific case and just say it's wrong? I'm specifically ventriloquist dummy, specifically Uncle Tom. Why don't you speak out?
Well, because William Barber's comments had a context.
Is he a friend of yours? He must be a friend of yours, because you're defending him like he's your brother.
I'm defending people having the right.
I didn't say he didn't have the right to say it. Is it morally? All right. Last question. I got to move on. Is it morally repugnant what he said?
No, I don't think it's morally repugnant at all.
All right. We got to
go.
go.
He's dancing around your question, Sean.
Yeah, I hear it.
He's not going to answer, but I do want to. I saw Senator Scott on your show, and one thing that he said was so powerful is that it's unfortunate that the NAACP and others attack black conservatives in this manner, because it's going to put fear in other young black people who would like to think for themselves and to make their own decisions, move away from the Democratic Party. And if they grow up seeing the other black conservatives attacked in this manner,
it's intimidating.
They're going to be afraid to speak
intimidating.
Out. Yeah, it is.
All right, I got to roll.
What they want.
Thank you both for being with us. Appreciate it. Toll free 800-941-SEAN is our number. News roundup, information overload coming up at the top of the next hour.